Okay, today we're going to be looking at TURs, Dokkan Fest TURs, and how good they are. Let us know what your guys' best TUR in the game would be. I know there's a lot of really good options. Today we're going to be looking at our own top 10 Dokkan Fest TUR rankings for the end of 2022 / beginning of 2023 here. My name is Minato, and I'm not alone. Today we are with Vilify here.
Hello, Minato. How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well, man. I'm really excited to just hop right into these top 10 lists.
Oh, yeah.
Very fun, for sure. Definitely not controversial or anything, right?
No. So where's Physical RADDITZ going to be on this list?
Oh, you just wait. He's gonna be mentioned for sure. Let's just hop right into it. Pretty self-explanatory. I'll let you lead off with our number 10 spot.
All right, so at number 10, we have a 2021 TUR, and that would go to the Extreme Tech Android 17 and 18 from the future. What kind of makes these guys good is that they have the active skill, usually at the beginning of the fight, that is a guaranteed Ghost Usher, which is an extremely valuable mechanic within this day and age where, bosses are not giving you as much time to build up other units, and you could, kind of take away the enemy attack, which is obviously so huge. And then they also work well on one of the Gamma teams. I forget which one it is off the top of my head, but I know that they fit on one of the Gamma teams. I'm sure you know, Minato, but
Gamma 2,
Gamma 2's leader skill, so being able to use them alongside with, one of the best rotations in the game makes them a solid floating option, makes them a nice option for even in slot 1 if you get a bunch of tech orbs to kind of get that defensive stat where you want it to be, as well as the super attack nullification that they do. What do you think, Minato?
Again, I think they're a quite good unit, right? They have the nullification, like you said. The Ghost Usher, not even just in longer, like the beginning of fights. At the end of these fights, you could just pop that Ghost Usher, do like major damage to the boss before he could even attack you. Really good, especially at that point if you stacked up to do major damage with your active skill and stuff. It can be quite powerful and quite effective, right? It's one of the things that make these guys age extremely well. Now, the only thing about this unit is that if you can't get those tech key spheres, unfortunately their defense, you could definitely tell the difference, and it does drop off a lot where they could take a lot of damage, especially if they don't have type advantage. Like if you're taking them against, especially like Metal Cooler Core, and they don't get like their tech orbs that they need, they could be in trouble. So you really have to be careful. We've been getting a lot of bosses without Ki Blast super attack, so they can't nullify that, and it could be a little troublesome for some of them, some of these newer bosses that they're in. But regardless, they still do have their uses, and if you are able to get them tech key spheres, not only does their defense get pretty high, but they could heal you a good amount of HP back. So I really like that. They have a lot of good tech with them, and they're just a unit that does a lot of things that not many other units can do put together, which is really useful. But unfortunately, because of that RNG kind of aspect to their passive with the orbs, we kind of do have them at this number 10 spot, not as high as like others maybe.
I kind of think a good way to think about these guys is they're almost like a more upgraded version of the AGL PyCon that we got at the end of 2020, with that Ghost Usher especially, because you can see some people in difficult content still run AGL PyCon, and these guys are just a better version of him in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. They do provide a lot, and they're just really good. So hopefully in the future we get more Ki Blast super bosses, which I'm sure will happen, and they could, still be effective to that day. So good for the tech androids. I'll move on with our number 9 spot here. Now, again, funny enough, this is the end of 2022 tier list, but we still have some older units from the previous years here, which I don't know if that shows how good these designs were or how subpar some of these designs earlier this year were as well. But regardless, we do have Tech Ultimate Gohan. Like, I don't have to explain. We all know at this point. Let's be real. Stacking guard. He has potential to become even greater on this list, depending on how much influence he has with the new Beast Gohan coming out. He could, like, what did they share? Like, his defensive links on the family code Judgment, saying lineage even, like, he could become really stronger. But in current content, he's still really good. He is under 200% leader skill with the Carnival Goku. He does what his role is very well still. On the first turn, he can probably take some damage early on, but once you get like 2-3 stacks with this guy, his defense shoots up to like 430 plus K with the guard. Like, that does enough to take super attacks from even the hardest hitting bosses. I took him into Metal Cooler Core like literally the other day, like this week, and he ate that super attack for like 300k with his defense debuffed. He's really good. He's just a stupid design unit, and it's just crazy how he's still on this list or in consideration at the bare minimum.
Yeah, you say all these things, and Akatsuki has basically done everything but say, like, flat out that they made a mistake dropping this unit in the way that they did, because they just don't like giving units guaranteed guard anymore. They have to be in, like, a certain slot. They have to have a certain condition. Something has to happen, because, you know, Tech Ultimate Gohan, he's just, like, he's just too good defensively, and they don't like it when units last as long as Tech Gohan does. So, you know, I don't know if you're a fan of this Tech Ultimate Gohan or not. It's tough to tell with how you act, but, I feel like you could go on for like 35 minutes about this unit, so I guess I got to be careful talking about him around you, I think.
Yeah, and again, like I said, we all know how good this guy is, so I don't want to focus too much. I know people are tired of hearing about him, but it's just simply, you know, the raw aspect of it. It's the truth, if you could say. Not, no pun intended, I guess.
Truth, yeah, exactly.
But I was trying to avoid saying, you know, because it's like a pun, kind of the truth. But whatever. Let's move on to our next number 8 spot, and I'll let you handle this number 8 spot right here.
Okay, so we are going from one Tech Hybrid Saiyan to another Tech Hybrid Saiyan, and this one is Dokkan Fest Pan. Now, Dokkan Fest Pan is an interesting case. I think you could see the kind of rotation of her just going absolutely crazy on Red Zone Broly, just taking her out by her, or taking him out by herself. But I think that this Pan, in my opinion, kind of had a little bit of a hiccup with how they set her up, where, you know, you look at a release like Ginyu when he came out, where he had like a whole team around him to give him the support that he needed to make him look his best. I would say that they did not do the same thing for Pan, where her best support is a Trunks and Giru unit that just is not cutting it, in my opinion. And, you know, you got to have so many different things going on. She has this annoying case where she has her damage received by 50% before attacking, right? And that damage reduction going away after she attacks is kind of tricky, but just her overall potential, as well as all of the unit super attack effects that she has, and a decent 200% leader skill, makes her, I'd say, a very good unit, but not too much experience with Pan. I'm sure, I don't know how you are with her, Minato, but you know, I'd say she's pretty good, but definitely some room for her to be better.
For sure. I think that, again, what if they could let Pan keep her damage reduction after she attacks, she could be up like 2-3 spots on the list. Her offensive potential is absurd. The reason why we have her above Tech Gohan on this list is because whilst Tech Gohan, you know, even the androids, they're a unit that help, you know, kind of support the team, keep the team floating. This Pan is a unit that helps keep the team running, which I feel like is obviously more important for our units. It's, you know, in terms of ranking how good a unit is, a unit that like makes the team go is better than a unit that would really kind of just help support the team and keep you, you know, floating like that, right? Regardless, this Pan has a lot of damage potential. The issue with her is that we don't really have like a GT Goku, so he loses that damage reduction. But if you can get Pan going like really good, she is unstoppable. The amount of damage she does to these bosses, the one-shot potentials, the one-turn potentials, is just incredible and cannot be understated. Just that she really does, like, hopefully we get a new GT Goku to make her, you know, function a lot better with the additional, with the active skill. But until then, she right now is currently our, you know, number 8 spot here, unfortunately, which, you know, I know a lot of people are a fan of this Pan unit, so I definitely want to give her the credit that she deserves. But she's just a little bit, you know, like undertuned defensively, I feel like, for my personal tastes.
I think if you just kind of, you mentioned giving her credit, right? But when we talk about a game where there's like hundreds of TURs saying that she is a top 10 in a game with so many units, I'd say that's giving her credit, right?
True.
And saying you're better than a unit like Tech Ultimate Gohan, like, who's one of the best aging units, I'd say, of all time at this point. I mean, that's gotta count for something, right?
That's definitely true. Maybe I'm just rotted with the Twitter mindset. Oh, if she's not top 3, she sucks.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys can kind of get like a mental image of who's going to be above Pan, and those are very good units, right? So it's to say that she's worse than some of the absolute best that this game has to offer. She's in that kind of tier, I'd say, is definitely giving her credit.
She's good, just not as good as our number 7 spot right here, which would be MAJIN VEGETA. So it just hops right into it, right? The reason why MAJIN VEGETA is so good now is because of the LR Vegeta and Trunks. While he does kind of have to be attached by the hip to that guy, when he is next to him, his full damage reduction passive allows him to tank very well. He can sit comfortably in slot 2. He can even create int key spheres, and like if you give the int key spheres not specifically to him, but to the LR Vegeta and Trunks, that could generate a lot of healing, which, you know, is something that he could provide to that team. Healing is something that not many units are able to really provide, and while it's not like direct healing, it can get you a lot of good healing with there. He does hit hard, but again, he's extremely tanky. He can take supers from, I feel like, pretty much any boss, probably except for the Metal Cooler Core, but that's because he's type disadvantage there, right? Overall, just a good unit, very simple tanking unit. If you get him the 6 key spheres, just super strong defensively, and I would say his leader skill is okay. His leader skill is probably the worst thing about him, honestly. It's not really that strong right now, but it can get a lot of potential. Like, what if like we get a worldwide celebration based around Majin Buu Saga again, and then his stocks go up, right? For sure. So yeah. I personally really like this unit.
We were at a point where the Majin Buu Saga releases were becoming nauseating, and I don't think that they're done doing that, because that saga just has so many different characters and forms that it's almost like just an unlimited well, right? And I think they have like in case of emergency break glass, it's just a Super Vegito unit, right?
Exactly, for sure. That could always happen.
You bring up a good, like when you said he's tied to the hip of Trunks and Vegeta, I think it's almost a good thing to be tied to the hip of the, like, you know, what some would call the best unit in the game, right? Like, it's not like you're running the team at a hindrance if you're running Trunks and Vegeta on it. At least. It's not like where you have to bring like a bad unit to make them look good.
Exactly.
You're bringing with someone, like I said, some would argue the best unit in the game to make him look at his best. So kind of similar to Physical Future Gohan, being tied with the best unit in the game, I definitely think is a plus, right?
It's definitely a plus for sure. It's just that it's currently the only unit. Well, as good as he is, like there's a lot of teams where that unit is not on, that you can't really utilize him. And unfortunately, he's on like 13 plus category teams or something. So hopefully we get another better Trunks soon to allow this guy to be used in some of these weaker category teams. But
Sword of Hope Trunks.
Yeah, we got him one day for sure. But I think, you know, we kind of explained Majin Vegeta well. Would you like to talk about our number 6 spot?
Yes, probably the most unlikely Dokkan Fest we've seen since Videl, our boy Int Yamcha. Now, Int Yamcha is in an interesting place. I'm a huge fan of this unit's leader skill, basically because it's like essentially a Goku leader skill. And this guy can really get some good attack numbers. He has the dodge chance. I personally did not pull this guy, so I don't have the most experience using him, but obviously I've seen the showcases and all that. But just with all the different crit chance procs that he has, the dodge chance that he could build up and whatnot, along with his decent categories. I wouldn't say he has a lot, but his categories that are pretty good that he shares the people with. But this guy, I think, is in a situation with Pan where I think he'll just continue to get better with units that continue to go around him. It's kind of tricky to say. So what do you think?
I think that he is, you know, just very strong, especially early on. The only downside to this guy is it's not like necessarily even like his fault. It's just how the game currently operates. I don't even know if the devs are aware of this, but when your dodge chance when at start of turn and when you're attacking are two different procs. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but his dodge chance doesn't add together. If his dodge chance added together, and he can get like 90% chance to dodge, 80% chance to dodge, you know, in that turn once he attacks, he would be like so much better. It's not even like, it's crazy how much like better he would be as a unit. But unfortunately, you know, he has these separate like 50, like he can get like 50% chance and then like 30-40% chance, right? And then whatever you have in hidden potential, and it's a little unfortunate. Once his active skill buff wears off, his defense is also a little low, like his pure defensive stat. Whilst he has a dodge, if he gets hit, he can potentially take a lot of damage from these high-end bosses. And, you know, a lot of these fights are still going to last beyond those 4 turns that he'll be on rotation. Now, the restriction itself, I was going to say the restriction for that active skill buff, not really difficult to get, but he essentially does kind of restrict him a little bit to his own team, which is one of the best teams in the game, so I'm not really complaining, but you get my point, I think.
One of the first things that comes to mind when I look at this unit is if only Prime Battle TN was as good as his animations were. Because that would just be like a really fun rotation to have like Yamcha and TN just kind of running things, but I don't think TN's really up to par.
Yeah, and
I don't know. I'm not crazy, right?
It's like a majority of his Link set, like Z Fighters, In Fighter, Solid Support, Turtle School, not really the best Link set ever, right? It's Yamcha. Not really expect him to have that, but he still operates very well. He could beat all the difficult content in the game. And just one last thing. It sounds like I'm like trashing on Yamcha, but I'm not trying to. It just he has. It's not like negative. It's just unfortunate working in his kit more or less, right? Again, he still is extremely strong. I think that I do like him better than Maj Vegeta just as an overall unit, because he does have the dodge. He does, do way more damage than Maj Vegeta. It's like a night and day difference, right? I think he's like a more balanced style like Pan, where he has much more defensive utility than Pan does, and I really like that. I do wish his active skill was better, but that's really it, because his active skill is like, guaranteed to hit attacks. Sure. What if he had guaranteed crits for the turn? That would be nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of hear the way we talked about him and you wonder, how is he at number 6? I think that's kind of where I'm getting from this.
Well, yeah, but again, like, in my eyes, he's just a better version of, like, not necessarily, I wouldn't say not necessarily a better version of Pan, but like, he's a more rounded version of Pan in terms of offense and defense, which I really do like. And he's a very strong unit. His dodge chance, he can just straight up take 0 damage from the highest hitting supers in the game, because dodge. A very powerful mechanic that can't be understated. So let's move on to number 5 here. Number 5 right here would be Tech Bardock. So I know that Vivil asked me before we started, he was like, you want Bardock at 5, right? And not necessarily that he doesn't think Bardock deserves that spot, but I think the biggest reason for him to be at 5 is the scout. Like, the 5-turn scouter with Goku on the team, and that's all he needs. It's such a powerful ability that it's like I almost even put him up higher. But the thing about Bardock is that does taper out, and he's relying on these orbs, and once he loses the orb changing and the scout after the 5 turns, he becomes a very basic unit that's not contributing a lot. But when he is contributing for those first 5 turns, you could completely feel the difference. It's just like the battle is like right in your hands. You know exactly what to do, what you should do. It's just too strong. And he has an incredible leader skill, Goku family, plus Pure Saiyans as a leader skill. Well, Pure Saiyans is a 30%. It means, again, another all Goku category. There's a ton of good units there. He has a very general Saiyan Link set, which is good. And I just like him a lot, especially once he's fully built up. He could put up some pretty good stats on his own, especially if you get the Rainbow Key Spheres with him. Very strong unit. I'm a pretty big fan of him, and that's why I just think he has more influence to win the battle over Yamcha personally.
Yeah, you mentioned the significance of the scouter. Let's kind of take a quick travel back in time at the beginning of 2021 with the God event, right? Who was the team that you would run if you couldn't figure it out? You'd run Battle of Wits, right? And that was for Vegito because of his scouter effect. And just being able to kind of get ahead of the enemy with the super, I think, is just so valuable. Because it takes away, like, the hardest part of the game, which is trying to dodge the RNG, right? If it kind of makes sense.
No, Bardock, right. He just eliminates that chance, You don't know where the super is, Bardock's on the team. And it's something that's going to age for, like, years, because it's like, you just need Goku, and it's like, okay, well, easy, right?
Yeah. I do see one thing, though, that sticks out to me like a sore thumb with this unit. I'm sure you and I are thinking the same thing. The active skill condition is not great.
Yeah, it's fine, right? It's like, it's nice that he gets the guaranteed crits for the turn, but it's like he already has that in his kit with the 3 key spheres, Rainbow Key Spheres, so it's like, well, it's not that big of a deal, and you're probably not really going to run many Team Bardock category allies, but, 5 turns, 50% HP, I think that's a pretty
I misread that. I misread that now that I looked at it.
Okay.
I thought that it had to be like team. You always had to have Team Bardock.
No.
It's like the Cooler's active skill with the Pure Saiyans.
Yeah, for sure. It's either or. If you're 50% or under for the 5th turn, you can still use it. And I wouldn't say it hits hard necessarily, but it can, be pretty effective for you. And maybe you could save some of those Rainbow Key Spheres for the other units. You only would have to grab 2 instead of 3 to get the guaranteed crits. So that's pretty good, but that's enough for Bardock. Let's move on to, I think this unit is like more comfortable or understood by the global player base. You're not really necessarily a global player, but I'll let you go ahead and explain our number 4 spot then.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the guy that, aside from the 7-year LRs, kind of ushered in the power creep, right? Where it's like, okay, we're really into another gear here. And that is our boy AGL Captain Ginyu. AGL Captain Ginyu was on the benefiting factor of having 2 banner units released aside him. And the Ginyu Force team went from being unusable fodder to a team that is like, one of the best in the game, still almost here a year later after his release. We think about the free-to-play EZAs that we have. We think about the LR Ginyu Force EZAs that we had. And just his stacking ability, the offensive prowess that he gets when he is in he takes Goku's body. We talk about the scouter effect that he gets when he has Goku's body. We talk about the stacking of the defense that he can do, the critical chance that he has, the dodge chance that he gets when he's in Ginyu Goku.
He just does.
And again, just yeah, I could go on and just about how good this guy is, right? And having those, just defensive tanks that he could throw in slot 1, like our boys Rakum and Goldo, and then we have Jason Berger. It's just this guy had such a profound effect on like how a team can change in the matter of one banner, that it's a shame that we don't see that with almost every Dokkan Fest TUR that is on the lesser side of like categories, right? Because you look at what this Ginyu has, it's not like his categories are like mind-boggling, right? But the teams you run him on, he is so good because he's like the best unit there with Namek Saga, Ginyu Force. Teams like Dragon Ball Seekers and Space Traveling Warriors could use help, but when all the Ginyu Force are on Space Traveling Warriors, you're essentially just running that team anyway, right?
Pretty much, right? And
Ginyu does, he just does so much, and this is, I finally can talk about a unit and know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it just
he's just so good.
He just does too much, and even then you could throw Golden Frieza, the TUR on this team, right? And it's like you're not gonna really suffer much. You just lose 10% attacking defense, right? If needed. You don't even have to run the full Ginyu Force team to get his full buff. He's supporting, again, super effective, triple supering, stacking. He has the mid battle heal, which again, not many characters have that mid battle heal like I talked about earlier. He has the scouter. I talked about how strong that scouter ability can be, really, truly. And he could even tank some of these high-end super attack, bosses from these enemies. This guy, I've seen him even eat, not even Adriel Broly super attacks, but like some of these Wicked Bloodline stages. He's just too good. He's just too much in his kit, like, put together that, not only is that like many other units don't do, but he just does better in general than other units performance-wise and his numbers, offensively, defensively. He's just too good compared to some of these other units. But even then, like we're hyping this guy up. He's that good. But we have, I feel like, probably just a whole other tier of how good a unit can be, and we're just gonna hop in number 3.
I gotta step in before that.
Oh,
these global cats are so lucky. They had this Ginyu for the red zone dropping over on before the anniversary, by the way. They just had this team.
True.
Just the Ginyu Force team.
Everything, right?
Yeah, it's like so I think I believe Goresh said this, but I think they directly made Cellmax Tech to counter Ginyu.
I mean, like, kind of, because he also has a buff now, so he just does so much damage, right? But I see the point.
Let's go ahead and move on before I get too salty over here.
Yeah, it's all good, man. So we have number 3 here, and this is actually going to be Gamma 2. So I'm not sure. Would you like to talk about Gamma 2 here? Let us know about him, or would you like me to wrap?
I don't know. The Gammas, they weren't very nice to me on their banner. I still don't have them. I don't know if I want to address that they exist.
That's fine. I got you, man. So Gamma 2, he just straight up just does more damage and defense than Ginyu. That's the thing, right? He has the nullification for the Ki Blast Super as well as it's only a high chance. It's still very powerful, One of the big reasons why we have the tech androids even on this list, that Ki Blast nullification. Really, really good. He does have these additionals. He's basically he's like another version of LR Cooler. And for the first 3 turns, he could even just be straight up better than LR Cooler, especially on that 3rd turn. The amount of damage this guy could do, like he does 7 mil, 8 mil, 9 mil, 10 mil, 12 mil, right? And you just see that all in one turn, and just like, this guy's crazy, right? He has built-in crit chance, built-in 50% chance to crit. And that's just like also just absurd. His additional that he gets from these attacks he does is a 70% chance, which means that very, very commonly you're going to see him triple super at the end of these fights, doing like triple 11, 12 mil attack stats, right? His defense gets up to like, 700-ish K, whilst he has the chance to nullify these super attacks. He's also, again, a very, very good slot 2 unit to alternatively Gamma 1 we'll talk about. Obviously, he's on the list, right? They match really well together. He shares so much things with the Gamma 1 unit. So this guy is just a very well-designed unit. And on paper, he's not really doing too many of these special things that other units do. but just the pure performance of this unit is just another tier above. So that's why we have to have him at our number 3 spot. I feel his leader skill is also really good, leading the best team in the game. We consider Movie Heroes, at least I would consider that the best team in the game. That Movie Heroes team is really insane.
And he's also half of one of the arguably the best rotations in the game, right?
Yeah,
and
but
he's more of he's the offensive side on it, while Gamma 1's the defensive side. And whichever one you prefer, I guess, is kind of how you'd want to argue who is better, right? So it's like if you're an attack guy, you might say Gamma 2 is better, but I feel like most of us are kind of on the same page where defense is probably more important with the way content is shaped right now, but I guess it's kind of up for debate, right?
For sure. I personally, this is our personal list. I would love to hear your guys' list in the comments, but at least me and Bill, we do kind of prefer defensive based units most of the time. So that's why we have this Gamma 2 at our number 3 spot. Next, I'll move on to number 2. I'll talk about this unit again. I'll start off with them. This is the physical Dokkan Fist Kid Goku. I have to talk about him. He's like my favorite unit probably in the game right now. Even
I actually do have this one, so I can talk about him.
Oh, I'll let you get it then, and I'll kind of I'll kind of spew off from there. What about that?
Yeah, I'm sure you got something hidden that I'm not going to mention, but I'm a really big fan of this Path to Power Kid Goku. It's kind of a weird choice for a Dokkan Fest, we're not going to talk about his banner because obviously that was super, super good, right? But he just does something. He does something that we have not really seen before, and that is the kind of damage reduction support that he does with a certain amount of orbs that you have. You got to get 7 or more, and then the rotation gets damage reduction. When you just think about some of the best units in the game that don't have damage reduction, getting damage reduction, it's really important. But you also have just like these super, super high attack stats where you're seeing mine's at 55%, and you're seeing like 7 million attack stat, 8 million attack stat, 9 million attack stat on like a triple super. You have these unit super attack effects, and also not to mention that he is the best linking partner for one of the best defensive units in the game that we think about with the AGL, Android 8, or Hatchan, whatever you want to call him. That rotation is up there with the offensive and defensive prowess of the Gammas, in my opinion. And you just kind of look at the, just the overall amount of categories that he's on, all the different unit super attack effects that he has, and he also is leading a triple category leader skill with a double 200%, which is something that we haven't seen too much of up to this point. So that was something new, and all the different things that he's doing with rainbow key spheres and stuff like that. It's just, there's so much that this unit does, and just his ability to kind of be the offensive end of that rotation with Android 8, I just think is really important.
It's just, he's a unit that, I talked about earlier with why we have Pan above Tech Gohan, where it's like a unit that can make the team go is a little more important than a unit that just helps, like an extra option that helps stabilize the team. This Kid Goku does both. He supports and he just also does tons of damage, right? He's doing so much. He's supporting not only just pure stats to some of these certain allies, he's also rainbow orb changing, he's damage reduction supporting. He, again, like Will said, my rainbow, I think mine is 79%, I think, or 90%, one of the two. He's doing like 8, 9, 10 mil attack sets very consistently, and he's a nuking unit, so obviously the more orbs you get him, the better. He can get damage reduction per rainbow key sphere to himself, so you can see this guy with like 40%, around a 30, 35% reduction with his defensive stat that jumps up to like a good 500, 600k or so. So even against some of these like high-end bosses like Broly, he could live super attacks from that Broly even. And again, damage reduction plus some of these units that have guard like Carnival Goku, Tech Gohan, Vegeta and Trunks, or even just on top of existing damage reduction like the Android 8, Tech God Goku, that extra 8% does make a pretty significant difference. I mean, I saw someone say earlier, they were like, well, Kid Goku, the damage reduction could be different from you taking 720k in a super to 630k. So that man could save you like just 100k plus HP from a super attack just from providing his support, which is very easy to get because he's rainbow orb changing. He just carries really hard, just a very good unit, and I think he's going to age well. The better units get, the more units that get damage reduction and guard, the more they'll be affected by this guy right here. So he's just going to be an extremely important release, and I could see him be good for even longer than our number 1 spot in the future. Like say a year or two from now, I could see this guy even being more relevant, right?
we also live in an era now where, you know, you mentioned the numbers of a super attack, but we live in an era now where you have enough HP on a team to survive a super for 600k. I'm not saying it's likely, but you could have a team with 750,000 HP and you take a super, and then you're still good with normals if you still have like 100k HP, right?
Exactly.
Like Cell Max kind of sets this unrealistic expectation, but like I mentioned earlier with Hachan, he at 55% can tank that super if his damage reduction is all the way built up, and that's very hard to do. Like, not many units in the game can take a Cell Max super, and you have like the ace in the hole, almost best tank for that specific boss with Android 8. So, you know, very good unit, and like you said, I definitely could see him aging better than potentially our #1 unit.
Well, since we talked about him a little bit already, we're kind of hitting him now. Let's just go
Physical RADDITZ.
Yeah, Physical RADDITZ, the GOAT. His pure saying is... Okay, I'm just kidding. Anyways, obviously, we have Gamma 1 here at our #1 spot. Gamma 1-1, pretty fitting. I think that the reason I would say I like him above Kid Goku, honestly, the deciding factor just might be his leader skill. You know, something I didn't talk about as well about Gamma 2, I'll talk about Gamma 1 here. He's also supporting, where this guy's giving Key 1 and 30% defense. Gamma 2 is supporting attack, right? I think that's something that people don't really bring up, that these guys are supporting. But his tanking ability, he's able to tank from every single boss in the game, including Cell Max. Again, he probably leads the best variation of the best team in the game, Movie Heroes, at least in my personal opinion. He has the building up stats. He has like a medium chance to crit, not really the biggest deal ever, but that's pretty cool. And for the first 4 turns, he has that guard ability. If you have his guard and the 50% reduction build up, with his like what 600k plus defense, especially after his super attacks, probably even higher, if not around that level, his defense just is really, really good. You can't underestimate damage reduction plus guard. Again, his 50% reduction, you have the physical Kid Goku on the team, so with him on rotation, he can get 58% damage reduction, right? He works really well with the Gamma 2 being his best partner, which is again our #3 spot. Helps really push him up here, and this guy's just incredible. It just his pure like usefulness as a unit, being a slot 1 unit, is very important.
Yeah, what did we talk about earlier, right, with Tech Ultimate Gohan, with guard being and defensive prowess being such an important thing. This guy has all that, but it's even better with the damage reduction and having just those abilities with someone like Kid Goku being able to provide that extra damage reduction. You don't really have that with someone like Tech Ultimate Gohan at this point, right, where there's just not a bunch of hybrid Saiyans that provide that extra damage reduction. Maybe Beast Gohan, we don't know. We're recording this beforehand, but... yeah, I just think that's really important. And this Gamma 1, I don't want to say is a better version of Tech Ultimate Gohan, because they're very different in what they do aside from the defensive prowess. But, you know, I don't think it's like the most unrealistic comparison.
I mean, again, he's also supporting for defense to the whole rotation. And key, 1 key is very, very helpful too.
Right.
I just really like this guy's design. Overall, he just does a lot. And even then, he's still doing like 10 mil attack stats, right, in a lot of rotations. He could still hit pretty hard. So that 30% crit chance can come in pretty helpful at times, I feel, if you're trying to get through these bosses. All right, so, I mean, that's pretty much our top 10 list. Again, let us know what you guys think about our list in the comments below. And I would love to hear your guys' own personal lists. We'll kind of wrap things up here. Is there anything else you would like to add, Bill?
No, I don't think so. Hopefully we get, you know, some more TURs that can replace some of these older ones, because, you know, best aging units are something, but I don't know if they should be good for this long. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. So
Tech Ultimate Gohan's gonna be here forever, and they know it, and that's the problem.
For sure. And I'm down for it. Whatever. And give us Tech Gohan forever. But thank you all for watching. Let us know what you think, and we'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.